I'm glitching right now, but I want to introduce my friend, and then I'm gonna let her rock our worlds. We got a little special guest, and I'm super excited to have her on with us tonight. She is the mother of the most beautiful little baby girl I've ever seen. She's been coaching for 2.5 years now. She is a 1-star team leader. She's a Success Club legend. She's actually hit Success Club for the past 31 months, I think. So she's been getting after it. Talk about dedication, guys. 31 months of Success Club. That's awesome. She's actually just finished speaking at the Our Sisters Keeper. It's a women's conference, and she's preparing to speak again at the Be Your Story conference. So I'm excited to hear how that goes. But without further ado, I want to introduce a good friend of mine, Miss Sophie BEYA.
Hey guys, I'm really excited to talk to you guys tonight. Super impressed already that you guys started your team call off with a prayer. I've spoken on a lot of team calls, and I have never seen a team do that, nor has my team ever done that. And that just like, whoo, Lord, just knocked me off my seat. I love that. So I hope that I can be a little blunt sometimes, so I hope that my bluntness is okay in this crowd. And I'm just going to share a bit of my, you're like, no, I'm going to share my story if you guys don't mind. And then just share some stuff that's been on my heart, the kind of stuff that I know I want to be in the blood, the veins of the coaches on our team. And so, well, first let me get a little feeler for whoever's on the call. How many of you have been coaches for a year or less? A year or less. Okay, a good number. And then how about 2 years or less? Okay, sweet, awesome. I just wanted to get a feel for what phase of coaching. There are many phases of coaching, as I have learned. Okay, so my story. You feel old. You're a vet, right? You've been around for how many years? 4? Okay, sweet. Yes. I can't wait to be able to say I've been around for 4 years. So my story actually as far as coaching did not start with really the weight journey. Weight was never my struggle. I had always struggled with anxiety and depression my whole life, really as far back as I can remember, and even had been suicidal a few times in my life before. But then fast forward to what led up to me becoming a coach. I had just gotten married. I'd met, I used to be a missionary in Africa, and I met the man who became my husband. We were missionaries together in Africa. So we had just gotten married. I'd emptied my bank account for the wedding and to move across the country and start our lives. We were going to raise our kids in Africa. And we moved across the country. And one day, my husband, we'd been married 2 months at this point, 2 months. And he said, hey, I'm going to go out for an errand. He was actually, I don't know if, since this is like a Christian team, I can say this, or a lot of Christians on the team. I don't know if you guys are familiar with IHOP, International House of Prayer out in Kansas City. So he and I had moved to the prayer house. We were living around the corner from that ministry. And so he said, I'm going to go to the prayer house or to the prayer room. I'll be back. And he didn't come back that night, and he didn't come back the next morning, and he didn't come back the next day. And a few days later, I got a call from the Atlanta airport, and he had purchased a one-way flight, and he called to say, this was all a mistake. I don't want to be married to you. I'm not ready to be a husband. And like I said, I had struggled with anxiety and depression before. And so that trigger, it immediately took me back to those suicidal mindsets that I'd had before. And those were the darkest days of my life. I didn't move, I didn't eat, I didn't drink water, I didn't bathe, I didn't do anything for 3 days. I sat and Googled on my phone fastest ways to commit suicide, least painful ways to commit suicide, cheapest materials to use to commit suicide. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything. And so I was plotting out my death. And I was really sick. I was so sick. And I thought it was because I was, of course, distraught that my brand new husband had just left. And then I found out a few days after he left that I was pregnant. And that was why I was sick. And for me in that moment, I was willing to take my own life. I felt there was no reason for me to be here anymore. Life was just always going to be a struggle. No one was ever going to want me. But when I found out there was somebody else involved, all of a sudden I was like, I don't have the right to take away her destiny. Like, she has a destiny on her life, and I don't get to end that just because I feel weak. And so fast forward, my family completely surrounded me. They, flew out and drove me back home, back to Cincinnati, where I'm from. And long story short, somehow by the grace, literally the grace of God and my church community completely surrounding me and checking on me every single day, I made it through the pregnancy, had my beautiful baby girl. And it was after I had her that I just had this moment of realizing, like, okay, I made it through this. I made it through this big trial. But I just knew, like, if I don't do something to change the chemicals inside of myself, if I don't do something to change me from the inside out, there's going to be a day when my daughter has to tell the story of how her mother ended up committing suicide. I knew that those mindsets would come back around. I knew that those emotions would come back around. I now have this child with this person who betrayed me and hurt me. I'm never going to be able to, push away or escape that story. I'm going to have to always face that. And if I don't change something inside of myself, that defeat is going to take me out. And so during my pregnancy, I had, we all stalk people on Instagram. I had stalked a couple of transformation pages and accounts. And so I was searching, I think like Transformation Tuesday or something. And I found a couple of girls who I felt like, I would like to get results like they have. And I contacted one girl. I think she was from like Herbalife or something. And she said, put this in your cart, put this in your cart, put this in your cart, buy this. And she didn't talk to me. She didn't ask me any questions. I just felt gross. I felt like I was a sale. And then I talked to this other girl. And she was like, well, let's get on the phone. I want to know, what is this about for you? And so I got on the phone with her and she was like, is this about the weight for you? What do you really want out of this? And I was like, no, I don't even care about the weight. I need to not kill myself. This is for my life. I need the endorphins. I had played college soccer in the past, and I just remembered when I was in really good shape, I remember the endorphins of when I would go on these long runs would really kind of put me in a good mood. And so that was my mindset of maybe if I can find someone to help me with health and fitness. And so I was like, yeah, no, I don't care about the weight. I need the endorphins, and I need a life shift. I need to save my life. And I was like, I want this to be long-term. This isn't like a 3-week thing for me. This has to be long-term. And she was like, okay, well then it probably makes sense to sign you up with the coach discount. You don't have to coach, but then that way you'll save some money. And I was like, save some money. Yes. Because I was broke as a joke. I literally, I was on food stamps, on WIC. I was living off government aid. I was living back with my parents. I was working 3 jobs at the time, just to try to scrounge together $1,500 just to pay my bills, just to, have groceries and whatnot. And so I started, that was right when 21 Day Fix came out. Signed up with a coach account. I don't even know how I got the money together to do it because I was struggling, but it meant enough to me. This was about my life. When something is serious enough to you and it means enough to you, you will find a way. I don't know what I did to get the money, but I got it somehow. So I did 21 Day Fix, and I decided I'm going to go all out with this. I'm not going to cheat one single time, because I want to see what kinds of results happen if I go all out and I don't cheat one single time. And I had it in the back of my head, if I get really good results, it could be a good way for me to bring in some extra money. I mean, I've got this referral account. And so I did the program, got some pretty dang good results. And my coach was like, why don't you post those outside of the group? And I was like, no, I'm not interested. I don't know why I was so resistant. But I was like, nope, I'm good. No interest. No thanks. And my mom was like, what are you afraid of? Why are you afraid of posting it? And I had to be very honest with myself. And I sat back for a while, and I was like, I started crying, and I was like, I am actually afraid that ex-boyfriends or my ex-husband or whoever will see this and that they will chuckle. They'll be amused. They'll be almost have pleasure in seeing that I got fat, that my life fell apart, you know, that I was now undesirable. I was afraid of what people would think of what my body had become or whatever. And then I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what if me showing what this program has done for me and what this community had done for me? Because for me, I'd never stuck with anything. I'd never stuck with a health and fitness attempt ever. I mean, my life was a literal perfect example of like not finishing anything. I was married for 2 months, you guys. Like, I was the perfect example of nothing ever sticking. And so for me, the challenge group thing was life-changing because it was the first time that I saw, oh my gosh, I messed up on a Wednesday, but I don't have to wait until next Monday to start over. Like, I can just start again like tonight after that stupid ice cream cone, or I can start again in the morning. It was the first time that I stuck with something because I had support and common sense to know that like a mess up doesn't have to become a give up. And so, I lost my train of thought. So I wanted to share about the community. So I thought, if I'm being selfish with sharing my story because of my fear of what ex-boyfriends are thinking of me, ex-boyfriends who I'll never be with again anyways, that could be holding back another woman who's struggling with depression. What if doing this community group is what will change that woman's depression, or will help her lose the baby weight, or will help her get her endorphins up? Like, I don't get to hold her back because I'm afraid of what a boyfriend will think. And so I posted it. And what do you know? When you have genuine results, people respond really well to it. And so that's kind of where I realized, okay, I could actually make an income from this. And long story short, I'll sum it up with what happened with me getting into coaching. Basically, at the time that I added in coaching, like I said, I had 3 jobs. So quote, coaching became the 4th job that I added in. And let's see, after 13 months of coaching, I was able to one by one replace all 3 of the other jobs. And after 13 months, went full-time with coaching. And like I said, I was with 4 jobs. I was scrounging together $1,500 a month to then 1 job. I get to be at home with my daughter and making $1,500 in a week, $2,000 in a week. Mind-blowing. And I had remembered saying, actually, I didn't remember. A friend of mine reminded me of this. She's a long-term friend I'd had from a youth group growing up. And she was like, Sophie, do you remember when you had your daughter and you were crying and you were so angry and you said, this isn't fair. I don't get to dream about being a stay-at-home mom. At least married moms, they can talk with their husband and decide, okay, we're going to sacrifice. We're going to live off of 1 income. We're going to make it work. I don't get that luxury. I have to go to work. I don't get to be home with my daughter. And she was like, look what God did. You are home with your daughter and you're providing. And it completely wrecked me because I saw the faithfulness of God, that was the desire of my heart, was I didn't want to work just enough to pay for daycare and not get to see my kid, you know, like I'm not against working and your kid going to daycare, but for me, I didn't want to, the jobs I had were just paying just enough just to pay for the daycare. You know, I wasn't like living abundantly off of it. So I want to encourage you guys to stay the course with coaching, because when you stay the course, these are the kind of stories that come out of it. I want to encourage you to set big goals, shoot for the moon. I always tell my coaches, shoot for the moon, because human error comes into play. You're messaging with someone and they're like, yeah, I want to buy. And then you never hear from them again. Or, you sent them the link and then they end up not buying. Well, and you think it's because they hate you or they think you're annoying or they hate your post. And it's just because they were like picking up their kid from school and they completely forgot about your message. Like, it has nothing to do with you, but human error comes into play. So I always say, shoot for the moon. And if you fall short, at least you're going to land in the stars. So I shoot for way more Success Club than I actually need. I shoot for way more coaches than I actually need. I shoot for posting way more than I need to. I shoot for more team calls than I need to, because human error comes into play, and I still want to be in an amazing place that's going to get me to my goals. So I want to encourage you guys to set the goals. Work in concentrated seasons. I'm listening to right now the 12-week year, I think is what it's called. Anybody heard of the 12-week years? I think is what it's called. So it's basically, this whole teaching around how you can accomplish in 12 weeks what some people try to accomplish in a year and fall short of. But when you compile your goals into 12 weeks, that's a lot easier to focus on that than it is a year. So anyways, focus on goals in concentrated periods. It's much easier to keep yourself disciplined in shorter periods, like in quarterly goals. So for me, some of the goals that I set along the way, I set the goal of Success Club Legend. That didn't just happen on accident. I remember my first summit it was back when they had it in Las Vegas. And I remember watching the coaches walking across the stage for different accomplishments, Millionaire Club, financial freedom, like all the different awards. And not all of them really lit a fire in me, but something I noticed was that all of the ones who had the marks of success, every single one of them was a Success Club Legend. They all had that. Not all of them were 15-star diamonds. Not all of them were, all these different things, but they were all legends. And I thought, okay, what is a legend? I didn't even know what it was, but I was like, I want to be that. And I found out it meant hitting Success Club for 24 months without any breaks in it. And I was like, great, that's my freaking goal. And I busted my butt to make that happen. There were times when I would be messaging at 11:59, like, like that. It was a non-freaking-negotiable. So I set that goal, and I set the goal of wanted to make $6,000 a month by this past July, by Summit, $6,000 a month. I set that goal. That was my moon goal. And guess what? Sometimes you get lucky and you get that goal sooner. I made $6,800 in March. So I hit that goal 4 months early. Sometimes you get lucky. Other goals you shoot for and you lose them. I wanted to be a Success Club 10 legend. I'm a Success Club 5 legend because 1 month I hit 8 instead of 10. And my final order went through just after midnight. So it was like one of those super duper heartbreaking things. But at least I still hit 5, And so sometimes you miss the goal, but I'm freaking shooting for that goal. I set the goal of wanting to come home for my other 3 jobs. If you want to stay at your job, that's totally fine. That's nothing wrong with that. For me, I wanted to come home. So I set that goal. It didn't happen on accident. I was foaming at the mouth. I needed it to happen. I needed to stop taking care. I was a nanny. I cleaned houses and I worked at a spa. I think those were the 3 jobs I had at the time. And I was like, I don't want to take care of someone else's kids. Like maybe you guys like doing that. I personally can't stand taking care of other people's kids. And I wanted to stop scrubbing toilets. And I wanted to, I wanted to get to do the things that mattered to me. Like I mentioned, I used to be a missionary in Africa. I wanted to be able to say, yeah, I think that's what the book is called. My phone just died right before the call, so I can't look it up. I think it's called the 12-week year. I used to be a missionary in Africa, and I wanted to be able to say, hey, I'm going to go to this refugee camp and I don't have to ask anybody off work. I wanted to be able to do that and to be able to work from anywhere in the world. And that's what I've created. It just in December, over Christmas break, I went for 3 weeks to Greece where, I don't know, like a lot of Syrian refugees have been coming through Greece to get, get to safety. And so I went to Greece and helped at a medical clinic for Syrian refugees. And I didn't have to ask anybody off work. This is allowing me to do what matters to me. Scrubbing toilets does not personally matter to me, personally. Let's see, set the goals. I set a goal of advancing diamonds. I didn't want to just get success for myself. I didn't want to be the only one who was having success. I wanted to see people beneath me having success. And I've advanced 4 diamonds. Now, if I could have them all hold diamond at the same time simultaneously, that would be really great for me and for them. But I've set those goals on purpose. But here's why I'm talking about setting specific big goals, is because it's on the way to those goals that the stuff that really matters happens. The goals are not what actually matter. I've never cried over a goal that I hit. I didn't cry over Legend. I didn't cry over 6.8 thousand. I didn't cry over advancing diamonds or over leaving my other jobs. It was on the way. It was the work. As I was doing the work to get to those goals, I was staying consistent with posting, staying consistent with team calls, staying consistent with personal development. It was on the way to those things that people's lives were getting changed. It was on the way to those things that, those things were keeping me plugged in. And what I was staying plugged into was a woman coming to me and saying, I'm so overweight, my body will not allow me to conceive a baby. And all I want in this world is to be a mother. She joins the challenge group. She loses a bunch of weight, and she's now pregnant and almost due with her baby. It was on the way to those goals that happens. It's on the way to those goals that a woman who has been suicidal has now joined our coaching team. And every time she has a suicidal thought, she has me, her sister, to come to, and she never has to be alone in those moments anymore. It's on the way to those big goals that the things that really matter happen. I don't want us to lose sight of what this business is really about. If you're in this to change someone's life, you're going to do the things that you're going to get to the goals. If you're in it to change lives, you're going to get to the goals. But if you're in it to make a buck, the second that you don't make enough money to satisfy your ego, you're going to be out of here. But if you're in it to change someone's life and you don't make enough money this month, you're going to stick in it because you still want to change someone's life. And guess what? That money's going to come back around next month. It's going to come back around. The money's there. The people that need help are there. You just have to be in it for the right reason. So I just want to encourage you to stay the course, because it's in those trenches that lives are getting changed. Don't be selfish with your story. I hear so many people when they come to me and they're like, you know, how will I know if I can be, if I would be a good coach? How will I know if when people come to me with, you know, life struggles, will I be able to help them? The number one thing I can say is the best way to have something to offer people in their struggles is that you're continually working on yourself. So personal development can't just be a 10-minute a day thing. You have to live personal development. 10 minutes a day was great when I was a brand new coach and I hadn't read a book in like 10 years. I hated reading. It was a good way to like get me back into this rhythm of like, oh, reading books, that's interesting. Okay. But once I was serious and I wanted my life to be changed and I wanted to have enough overflowing out of me to change someone else's life, I had to be living personal development. I had to be going to Tony Robbins. I had to be going to Danny Johnson. I had to be like just constantly soaking it up like a sponge. Don't be selfish with your story, like I was being at the beginning, where I was afraid to share my truth because I was worried about what people would think, and I was holding back other people's potential motivation and inspiration. Share the stuff that you feel like is scary to talk about or maybe a little too personal. That's what no one else is willing to do, and that's why people come to me when they don't go to someone else, because I'm vulnerable. So I could go on and on. I know we only have a couple minutes left, but yeah, I'll stop there.
So flippin' awesome. You are so awesome. I can't even take it. Mike, I love her.
Me too. I almost cried. I'm almost crying right now.
I have so many things to say, but that's just me.
Same.
There, a few things, something that just hit me really hard on top of the fact that I do need to know, Kayla, is that the book? Is that the 12-week year book? Thumbs up. Yes, you're amazing. Kayla's so flipping good. I love that. Kayla is Miss Google. Something that you said, Sophie, first and foremost, thank you. You're awesome. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Second of all, what's your baby's name? I just want to know.
Her name is Sakari. It means tender-hearted, sweet, and forgiving. I knew that she was born out of something that could lend me towards being hard-hearted and bitter, and I wanted to come against that and speak the opposite over her over our house every single day. So I named her Forgiving and Tender-hearted.
You are amazing, and there is something inside of you that I'm so happy to witness it come through in an individual, and I feel super blessed to have you on this call. And one of the things that you said that I think can totally be duplicated and shared with your team and this team of powerhouses. And girl, you are a powerhouse. Let me tell you right now. That question of what are you afraid of that your mom said to you? What are you afraid of? And just that sheer realization, if we can ask ourselves, why am I not doing that? What am I afraid of? And you said it, it's ridiculous. It's absurd, right? So you thought you were blunt. Girl, I think I'm more blunt than you, because my thing is always like, are you going to die? You're not going to die. Like, I'm from Jersey. I can be a little violent. But I work on that. But guys, right there, when she said, when her mom said to her, what are you afraid of? that was when she tapped into that power. On top of the gift of God that she had that was inside of you and you were tapped into, I want to change my life. And when you tell your story, guys, some of the stuff we're doing in this Y training and how she shared her story, tell me you didn't see yourself in one aspect of something. When even Ashley, I looked at you and I swore you looked at me when she said, I don't want to work for anybody else's kids. But when she said that she was searching Transformation Tuesday, guys, before I got into this, I was on Google typing in help. Help me, I need a change. And that, her being vulnerable and sharing her story right there, that's why she's at that 6.8. That's why she'll be one of the $1 million earners in this business, because she's already there. She's already of the mindset. So I love you. You're flipping amazing. I didn't cuss once because I didn't have to talk. So, yeah.
I just say something real quick. You know what I loved, and my favorite part about doing these Zooms on an iPad is I can do the gallery view and I can see everybody.
Pretty much.
And while she's talking, people are like,
yes!
like shaking their heads and like, yep, that's my life, you know? And I love that. And that's how I was. I was being way too dramatic, blaming on the red wine. I don't know. But you really, really, really got to me, and I really appreciate everything you said. So thank you. I already friend requested you. I'm not a creep. Ashley Sparks Hunley.
Yeah, you'll probably be getting a few friend requests or follow, whatever. We understand you don't have to accept everybody, but we want to thank you. I will get you this recording. You are a blessing to this planet. Girl, you're amazing.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Love it, love it. All right, guys. Well, let's end it there so that way we can, I don't know, go do good things and ask yourself, what are you afraid of? That's probably ridiculous, right? All right. All right. Love everybody. Signing off.